everyone. We'll give it a couple of more minutes so that more people join in and then we can start.
Great. I'll probably say this a couple times, but I don't know how you feel about this, but people can leave comments and jump right in. I love comments. It makes things way more engaging and fun.
100%. Guys, so feel free to comment, feel free to chat. There's also Q&A, there's chat. You can use any of those. And ask any question around Agentic AI security, really. David over here is obviously an expert, so we'll be happy to answer any question.
Oh, thank you. I'm super stoked. I'm really excited.
Same here. For me, it's the last webinar. I just want to make sure that it's a lot of value for people and they're able to get what they want.
And 2025 with a bang, for sure.
And 2025 with a bang, yeah, for sure. Okay, so we have a few people joining. Let's start. Thank you everyone for joining in. Firstly, really excited to host you all for the last webinar of Acto of 2025. We'll come with a bang in 2026 for sure, and keep watching the space, keep watching Acto of what we are doing in 2026 also. But let's have this special webinar of the year. This is our first state of any report that we just launched this year, and I'm very excited to talk about the insights that we have, because we have wonderful insights. And our special guest over here, David, he's one of the experts, big experts in AI security research, and I'm so glad that he's here today with us to share his point of view, his insights, his experience in the space. So let's start, guys. Just give me a moment.
Thank you so much, Ankita. Like, I'm super stoked to be here. I love this report that you released, as well as having the opportunity to come in here and talk about Agentic AI security in 2025, and maybe a little bit about what it's going to look like in 2026. I think it's top of mind for a lot of people that I'm talking to regularly, and it's interesting to see where we're going from here.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, David. Guys, so everyone who's joining in, just to give you a little bit of context of this webinar, we just recently on Monday released a report on the state of Agentic AI security 2025. We conducted a survey of hundreds of CISOs and AI security leaders on asking them a bunch of questions around, AI security, Agentic AI security, what they've been doing in 2025, what their plans are in 2026, and that's what the report is all about. And this webinar is about talking about some very important findings from that report, from that survey. So feel free to also share your insights over here. Do check out that report for sure, because it's got really wonderful insights on agentic security, which I haven't really seen in other places, because this was very specific to agentic AI security. Some housekeeping tips to join in, chat with us, engage, ask questions, raise hand. We enjoy having a very meaningful discussion, so it's not just me and David talking. You please chime in and chat with us. That will make this webinar more engaging. All right, my introduction. I have not talked about myself, but I'm the co-founder and CEO of Acto. Acto is an agentic AI security platform. We are one of the fastest growing startup in the space. We started in 2022. We started as an API security company. Now we have multiple products, and Agentic AI security is one of our flagship products today. And that's why we have an opinion in the space, because we work with lots of customers and we have lots of insights also from the space, and this webinar is all about that. With me is David. And I'd like, David, I guess most people know you over here, but I'd like a little bit of introduction from you.
I would love to introduce myself. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ankita. I'm super stoked to be here. My name is David Campbell. I'm the head of AI security research for Scale AI. If you haven't heard of Scale AI, it's probably the largest AI company you've probably never heard of. We do a lot of data labeling as well as migrating into the enterprise space, especially now in the area of AI red teaming, which is where my specialty comes into play. About 2.5 years ago, I had an amazing opportunity to build the Agentic AI red teaming platform for DEF CON 31 as part of the AI Village. we partnered with about 10 frontier model vendors, and we released this product that allowed the hackers that go to DEF CON to come in and just hack against these models and really play around and kind of understand how they work. It was super successful. The White House wrote about us as the largest generative AI red teaming platform at the time, which is a huge honor. And from there, I've just kind of followed the momentum on what AI security is and agentic AI and so on and so forth. I've presented on AI and AI security to the US Congress, to the UK government, to NATO, to the Qatari government. I just got back from Korea, where I did a work with the Korea AC. I've worked with the UK AC, AI Safety Institute, and I've presented at the Alan Turing Institute. So I've kind of been all around the world doing world tours on AI security and agentic AI.
Wow, that's a solid background and solid stuff you've done in AI security.
Thank you.
No, seriously, I haven't seen, David, people having that kind of experience, and I think the part of it comes from the company that you work with, Scale AI, has been doing AI when AI was not even popular. So kudos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Scale started off, in the unglamorous space of data labeling, and it's allowed us the opportunity to go into things like AI red teaming. In my opinion, is actually a data labeling problem. It's not necessarily an AI security problem. I think a lot of the best red teamers, for example, in my experience, are people like authors, which the white paper about agentic poetry attacking models kind of supports that thesis, which is kind of amazing. But it's really, giving us an opportunity to do really interesting things in the space.
Awesome. No, I think a lot of our audience, I'm pretty sure, will be interested in hearing more about red teaming also. Because I hear about this conversation, red teaming being one of the most critical things that they want to adopt in AI security. I think, David, if you want, would love to have your tool over here in chat. You can send it to all the participants also over here if they want to maybe.
So I can share it. It is closed right now, unless you are part of the unless you've come to an event where we're running this event. You won't be able to see much of it. This actually brings up a really good point, though, that I've been working on this week, because I want to build a little bit more of a marketing footprint on the website, so that way we can attract more red teamers. If you are interested in red teaming, please hit me up on LinkedIn. We are actively hiring red teamers. We are actively hiring contributors to help, make models safer. And so please feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Yeah, anyone who's interested in red teaming, AI red teaming, I think David is the best person to reach out to. As he said, he's done lots of amazing stuff in the space already. So you might be able to watch his recordings or see some papers, etc., some things that he has published. So great stuff.
I shared my LinkedIn for everybody. So yeah, feel free to add me. I don't bite. I love it. I love these conversations.
Awesome. All right, so welcome now to the webinar. Let's get into the real insights that we have for you all. I do encourage, by the way, to look at the report, and in fact, let me send you the report link while we are here. If you go to Acto's website, you will be able to see download the report link, which I'm just posting over here as well for everyone. Yep. And amazing content over there. So let's start with this quote where, of course, we asked, we had like some 15 questions in the survey, and there were lots of insights. But what if I have to take one thing from that survey was visibility. It was hands down the biggest thing. Visibility is the biggest gap. Suhail over here, he's the CISO of ChargeBee. He says you can't govern or enforce guardrails if you don't know what your agents are doing. Without observability, every control is guesswork. So for sure, visibility, observability, you call it anything, a discovery, all of this was the theme of our complete report. And when I'm saying report, it's really the insights from all of these AI security teams who are trying to manage AI risk in their organization as we speak. So, and visibility remains the biggest challenge there. So talking about the number one insight, we also wanted to understand from our security teams audience that we work with, that are you sure you want the security risk, but are you seeing the AI agent adoption in your organizations today? And guess what? We saw crazy adoption actually of AI agents in the organizations. Most organizations here you can see about 70% of organizations are already piloting or running early production agent deployments. And 2025 is the year when agentic adoption has sort of taken that accelerated speed. But for security teams, for risk teams, for enterprise AI security teams, they are finding it very hard to manage the risk, to manage agentic risk, because adoption has just been very, very fast for them to even have any controls and processes in place. This has been our biggest learning from the survey. And to put some numbers around it, in terms of adoption and maturity of agents, AI agents itself, it's 93%. So it's pretty much every organization we were talking to. And in fact, I can tell you from my anecdotal conversations with people that most of the organizations are adopting agents, MCPs, LLMs. Everyone is very welcoming to agentic adoption, but remains governance gaps. 79% organizations have governance gaps, 21% have complete visibility sort of gap. So that's like the biggest theme. Visibility remains the number one gap. And I'll take a pause over here and ask David, from his experience, what do you see? Is this aligned with what you see in organizations and your organization as well?
Yeah, I love that this was your number one topic, because this is absolutely what I see. I go super deep on this in a talk where I talk about attack surface management. You can probably find it on YouTube. But basically, agentic AI didn't really expand the attack surface. I think it kind of atomized it. It really brought it to the real world. You hear this concept of like bits and atoms, the bits being the software and the atoms being the real world. And I think, adding in agentic AI, that next step is to start atomizing things that are happening now in the real world. AI is starting to impact, the surface area of business, which is rapidly adopted more than any other software that's ever happened in the history of software, really. Every agent, every tool call, every MCP model now has its own identity and its own API surface, and its own misconfiguration risk. I think if you think back to when like cloud happened in 2014, there's a ton of misconfiguration risks that happened, but your scope was limited. Maybe an attacker was able to log into your platform and run a Bitcoin miner or whatever. Now that risk is existential to the business, and the enterprise has moved faster than these security programs can actually keep up, which I think is one of the biggest risks right now. Tons of orgs that I talk to or advise or work with are skipping straight to autonomy. They're really jumping into this agentic AI platform, and I support that. But we haven't built the foundational layers that are supportive of a traditional cybersecurity system. We don't really have AI identity or inventory or governance or guardrails yet. And all of these really are some of the things that are missing. And so I'm not at all surprised by 69% of folks are adopting AI, and seeing this governance gaps and all of the other additional metrics that you released in this report. I think is fascinating.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that additional context, David. As you said rightly, that you can't really stop people from adopting. Everyone is adopting AI left, right, and center, and which is important for the business, obviously. For the risk teams, for the CISO teams, for the security teams, there's no way for them to sort of, at least right now, contain that risk, manage that whole security control process. So that's where we are today. I think 2026 might be a different year when there is more process, there's more control over AI. But in 2025, at least today's state, as we say, is adoption is accelerating, but foundational controls are lagging.
And it's crazy too, because I think we've actually already crossed that inflection point of people now. AI agents aren't experimental anymore. We have folks on my team that are just building these agentic agents that are now into production like that, which is amazing. They're operationalized systems already, but we haven't worked on the hardening yet. And I think we're a little bit behind the curve.
Yeah. Also, I'm looking at some chat over here. I think not everyone can see, but I want to call it out. Sumit over here mentions that also cascading failures are really challenging with agentic AI and adoption to business risks that David just mentioned. Correct. I mean, and think about this. I mean, it's not just that. It's like OAS just released Agentic AI top 10. It today, if I have to talk about all of those top 10, I mean, nobody is even
We'd be
looking
here
at,
for hours.
yeah, look, nobody has control for even one. I was looking at it this week, and I think most organizations we know are not, don't even have like one or two sort of sorted in their organization. So we're really early in terms of containing the risk and managing the risk, but I think there's very good future in 2026 for AI security teams to sort of manage that risk.
Yeah, so I'll just quickly touch on it because I know you're ready to move forward. But Sumi mentioned, yeah, the cascading failure is super insane because we're in a new world where the output of an agentic model can now be an adversarial input to another. It's a wild place we live in.
Yep. Awesome. So number 2 insight, I mean, number 1 was visibility is a gap. Number 2 is kind of related, but we wanted to give proper space to this, which is lack of inventory itself is the number 1 source of blind spots. And what does that even mean? So here is more metrics around it. Now, if you see, only 21% of organizations have fully maintained inventory. 79% have either no tracking or very partial tracking of your agents, MCP connections, tools, GenAI apps, and so on. So basically 79% organizations kind of lack complete visibility into agentic apps. That's worrisome. That's really worrisome for not just security teams, but I think as you talk about data teams, information teams, or DevOps teams, they also want observability. And I talk to all of these teams pretty much every week. And I think observability as a gap is a complete enterprise risk. It's not just a security risk. So that's my take. And if you even ask, and we ask these kind of questions in the survey, do you know where agent exists? Do you know what all API calls are being made by the agents? Do you know what data these agents or MCPs can access? There were very few organizations who had that complete deep visibility, which is not surprising given that the whole tech is very new. But we are looking at 2026 again to sort of manage this risk. And David, I'll ask you over here any comments on the piece on the inventory that you see over here.
So many. So this is, in my opinion, the hardest hitting part of your report. I think 21% of companies that actually have any kind of visibility is insane to me, and honestly, a huge risk surface that I hope in 2026 we start to tackle and whittle down. Untracked agents across untracked services. That's the real risk here. That's really what we're facing. And you can't really secure what you can't enumerate over. So that lack of discovery really is like the identity of your entire business, of your entire platform. And then you start layering in autonomous actions on top of it. And I think we're getting to a really scary place where as actors become more sophisticated, especially nation state actors or other really, really talented red teamers, people are getting very, very good at breaking models. That risk is just starting to skyrocket. And it's not necessarily the risk of maybe your AI system doesn't even have any kind of PII or PHI in it, sure. But there's just a very real business risk of impacting your business look by somebody being able to attack your models at the surface and then cascade down and break in. Excuse me. And I think shadow AI is just a huge risk here. Nobody has the visibility. It's not just people using ChatGPT on their desktop. These are undiscovered agents. Like I have agents running on my laptop that I've coded that I am part of security. I'm on the security org at scale, so I'm aware of them and working on it. But that visibility into what agent everybody's running on their machine is really, really difficult to identify. And so I think when you lack that agent observability, really everything just starts, the controls just start to become guesswork. And that's security through guessing is not a very great place for us to be. So I am excited to see this observability gap starting to narrow and whittle down in 2026.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the awesome line, right? Security with guesswork is not where anyone wants to be. I think that's fundamental. David, I'd ask a question, and you mentioned agents and MCPs on your desktop, and you can't have visibility into it, right? So here is here is what we are seeing. We are seeing more and more third party agents, MCPs being used versus having your own homegrown Gen AI apps, and maybe companies might have or teams might have still control over their own built apps or agents, but they don't have any visibility or inventory of the third party agents and apps. What is your sort of experience? What are you seeing?
Yeah. So it's crazy because yes, everybody's lacking the visibility in the third-party apps. I think that is really terrifying. A lot of the assessments that I'll do for our team that does governance is I'll pull down a model. For example, a famous vendor just released a brand new IDE, and I played around with it, and all of a sudden I was using Claude, and I was like, this company didn't build Claude. This isn't an Anthropic IDE. So what happened, and how did that access happen? And like the lack of control and how easy it is to just move into a vendor's new models or how they're handling your data. If you step back from agentic and you just think about what makes models better, it's data. And so every vendor is in a race right now to collect as much data as possible. So think about that when you're doing an audit from a third-party vendor. Like if you're using a free tool, or if you're using a tool that uses a different model from what they're offering, how are they sending that data? Do you trust them enough to retain that data and keep it secure? I personally err on the side of being a little bit risk averse, so I don't believe them when they say, sure, it's fine. I'd much rather have policies or agreements in place with those vendors to ensure that my data is safe with a data access policy or data retention policy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can tell you from my experience as a vendor, we've been around for 3 years. Now, this year is the year where we are getting lots and lots of those AI security assessment questionnaires to be filled out as a vendor, which makes sense, right? Like everyone is very risk averse when it comes to third party vendors, third party AI. And you mentioned Cursor, Claude, you mentioned having AI in those platforms. Actually, that's one of the biggest risks that we are seeing. Every dev is using either a Claude, Replit, Cursor, Lovable, those kind of platforms, which are very, very productive, valuable for the devs. And I mean, our team, we ourselves use some of those. We have paid subscriptions, etc. But if you talk about security risks, in terms of any developer might be able to spin up their MCP server in Cursor, Claude, or maybe on their desktop itself, local environment. You don't know that. You don't, as a security team, you're really worried about that kind of risk. What is your opinion there, in terms of just Cursor, Claude?
Yeah, you nailed it. And so I've been in Silicon Valley for 20 years. I've written edge software. I write a lot of software in my career. And I drug my feet on this like Claude code and vibe coding and AI assisted coding, as I like to think of it. Vibe coding, I leave that to people that just want to one-shot a prompt and build something neat. But AI assisted coding is incredibly powerful. I wish I would have adopted it sooner. On November 17th is when the first time I used Claude Code, and I had 186 commits that first week, which is still less than my weekly high throughout my career, but still incredibly impressive. So as a business and as a security professional, you have to think about your role in the business. It's not to hinder, it's not to prevent the business from growing, because without the business, you're out of a job. But it's how to secure, how to ensure that things are done as best we can to mitigate the risk. And that's where I think, you mentioned about people spinning up things on their local machine and running those kind of, running agents locally. It's going to happen. We have to encourage that development cycle, because I don't think it's going to go away. People are going to find ways around it if we try to be draconian and strict and prevent them from doing these things. Developers are incredibly crafty, especially when they have an AI agent that can do a lot of the coding for them and heavy lifting for them. So being able to protect that, I think, is paramount. And how we do that, I am still waiting for that solution a little bit. I think a lot of it is endpoint detection is going to be huge. It's going to continue to grow and expand. And then, what I kind of see is one of the lesser known features of, like, let's do a Claude, for example. You could have a Claude proxy. And I think that's something that's really interesting. I wanted to just touch on before we move on is basically, like, how can a business or a security team even know what developers are prompting if it goes directly to the provider? You have the agreements in place where you're trusting that things are happening, but basically you have this idea of now being able to move through a proxy. It's an HTTP proxy, so it's nothing special or nothing interesting. It just goes through at a certain endpoint before it goes out, just like any kind of SOX proxy or anything like that. So basically you just funnel your traffic through something else, which is a nice way to restrict the output going certain places.
Yeah, so somebody asked the question, what is Cloud Proxy? And David was answering that it could be a Cloud Proxy, it could be a Cursor Proxy. It's basically a proxy.
Exactly. It's just a regular HTTP proxy, I think.
Yeah, and somebody also mentioned regular inventory management is very tough, as you mentioned, let alone shadow agents. Oh, you're absolutely right.
100% agree. Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah, I mean, forget about just AI. Regular inventory itself is not an easy task. So it's with AI, things become even more complex.
It's not only an almost impossible task, but you think about each environment is impossible on its own. AWS inventory is hard. GCP inventory is hard. Local machine inventory is hard. It's all very, very tough. So yeah, agreed, 100%.
Yeah. All right, so we talked a lot about inventory. Let's probably move to, you have inventory. How do you sort of build those governance frameworks? So the third big insight that we had was Agentic AI governance gap is driving a lack of confidence in securing AI. So we asked a question basically of the security teams that how confident they are in terms of securing AI as they go into the next year. And the confidence score is obviously low, but the biggest driver of that confidence score is actually the governance gaps. So here is more information there. So the question asked was, does your organization have a security and governance policy for AI agents and MCPs? And you can see only 21% have fully implemented and defined governance policies. 17% don't have any, 49% have partial, and 14% have plans for next year. So this is also kind of in the no bucket. So which is very surprising, right? Like only 21% have actually implemented some kind of governance policy, which is not where you want to be as an enterprise. And all of this data is actually from 20% of the companies were Fortune 500. There were enterprises with more than 1,000 employees. So you can imagine more than 500, 600 developers and all that. So this is pretty scary data. I was not expecting this kind of data when we got the survey results, but hoping for better results in 2026.
100% agree. Yeah, the new risk surface isn't what an agent can say anymore. You think about that, how agents or LLMs used to only have a risk surface of what the output was, and now we're moving into this agentic world where it's really the risk surface is now what an agent can do, and not have any governance or guardrails around that. I think is a scary place to be.
Yeah. I mean, and I get into this conversation a lot. That sure, I have my inventory. Now what do I do with this? I know all the third-party agents, MCPs. I know all the homegrown apps that we have, and we are a giant organization now. Can I get some kind of a guardrail mechanism, a governance mechanism where I can only allow certain approved tools, MCPs, agents, GenAI apps? And so organizations are looking for that kind of a control plane, if I can say. Right?
Yeah. You think about it. We spent the last 20-ish years really industrializing identity and IM, and I think agentic AI kind of bypasses it all, and it's a whole new paradigm shift. I tweeted something, and I'm not going to be able to remember exactly what I wrote, but it was something about the lines of, we have to. Identity is hard in general, But then agent identity is really approaching impossible because it acts like a human, but it's not human. It acts like an app, but it's not an app. And it's non-deterministic enough that it needs more flexible credentials to be able to actually get work done. And so how do we manage the identity, and how do we govern the identity of agents? I think it's going to be a really interesting platform. I said this at the beginning of 2025, at the end of 2024, is that I do think that like by 2026, we're going to get policy is going to start happening, and that's going to require more and more governance. And I think next year, 2026, will be the year of AI governance. I'm hoping, at least, and we'll see an explosion in how we govern and how we monitor and how we maintain agents. So this entire conversation is so on the nose, and I'm really, really excited to see where we as an industry continue to take it.
Yeah. Thank you. No, yeah, David, for me also, it was very surprising to see some of the stats.
Those stats are insane.
Yeah. And as you are hopeful, I am also, in 2026, we'll have some better, risks and policies in place. And I'm sure a lot of work is going on right now. And just to tell the audience as well, I think the complexity of the challenge is so hard. It's not that the organization doesn't want to do it. Obviously, everyone wants to contain the risk and have governance and policies in place. But it's a complex problem to solve. You have all of these, as I said, running in your local environment, in Cursor, in Claude. You might not know how many third-party AI apps your employees are even using for you to even govern. So it's a very complex problem, and it scales a lot if your organization is anywhere more than 1,000 employees, 500 employees. Now it becomes very hard to solve.
And Sumit mentioned a really great thing. Moving fast and governance don't go hand in hand, and I fully agree. I think where that's going to change and where we're going to see like industries having to move fast is going to be regulated industries. Banking and healthcare. They already are moving quickly to try to stay ahead of the curve of policy implementation that I see that's going to continue to happen more and more. And those companies that are going to be successful long term in this world of AI are the ones that will find ways to probably leverage agents to contain agents, which is an insane misnomer that is going to be a huge conceptual shift, I think, moving forward. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited too, because I think at least from the tech we are building also, we see lot is possible, lot is yet to be achieved. I'm excited for the future, because this whole area of AI security, governance, agents, MCPs we're just touching the surface of it. There's so much to be done. So
yeah, you nailed it. Absolutely agree.
Awesome. So the number 4 sort of insight is more like we asked a question on top threat concerns from every organization, and here is what we heard. This is straight coming from the survey, so it might not match maybe your organization, it might not match the agentic top 10 from OWASP. Actually, it does match quite a few of those. But this is what we have from the survey results. So supply chain risks, of course, this is, I saw in the top 10 also, data leakage, prompt injection, uncontrolled autonomous actions, which is actually access control, regulatory or compliance violations, of course, this is more around governance, agent impersonation and spoofing, IAM, as you were talking about, David, identity and all that. So these are the 6 top that we've got from our survey results. I'll take a pause over here, because David, you're living and breathing AI red teaming, agentic red teaming. You have your tool and you've seen all of this a lot. What, according to you feel are the top risks?
Yeah. I'm going to sound like a broken record right now, because I've mentioned identity a lot. But if you look at the actual intention of these 6 up here, 4, 5, and 6 are all, and maybe even part of 2 with the unauthorized data exposure, all really will be solved by identity solutions that just don't exist yet. I was talking to a peer of mine at a large identity company, and they were asking my opinion on what I thought about where we're going. And it's not an easy problem. The minds that are building the identity that has got us to where we are as an industry are still struggling to come up with the right solutions. And I think that fact alone really should just tell you how difficult this is for the entire industry. For me personally, I super am really interested in the data leakage and the prompt injection. That's really like my bread and butter. The agent spoofing is something we're actually starting to play around with, which has been kind of fun. And the supply chain risk, I think, is going to be here forever. It's another probably huge industry that AI security is going to continue to build on. So, yeah, moving forward, I think, funny enough, given the red teaming that I do think that prompt injection attacks are actually going to start to minimize. We're going to start seeing less and less prompt injection attacks because it's not a human talking directly to a chatbot anymore. Yes, there's a chatbot interface, don't get me wrong, but what I see happening is humans manipulating that chatbot interface to then propagate down the red teaming into the agents underneath. Some of the customers that I've been working with and supporting on AI red teaming are like, do you want to red team each model individually? And absolutely not. I want to talk to your model at the edge, where your customers do. Because if I can manipulate that front model to break or to jailbreak that model, I could then propagate risk all the way down your stack in uncontrollable ways.
Wow, that's really awesome. I feel like, David, we should just do a session on red teaming with you. Probably.
I'd love to, anytime, absolutely.
Yeah, you have such amazing insights to share from your experience.
Thank you.
No, this is awesome. So you're saying identity is sort of going to become big, and you don't see any kind of solution out there for that.
I do think there's actually a lot of solutions. I think we need to start treating agents a little bit more human, as silly as that's going to sound, because I think we're gonna have to start doing just-in-time kind of access control for an agent. An agent may need to access data, so by default, it doesn't have access to that data, right? The agent, the AI control plane is another area I think that we really need to focus on as an industry, is really building this AI control plane, which is exciting because these are the tools that you guys provide. So building out this AI control plane, I think, is really exciting, because then that's where we start doing the just-in-time access control. An agent is, let's say we get to a world where I have a personal agent and I'm like, hey, I want to buy a shirt. That agent's going to go out to my bank and say, do you have the money? And then it'll go out and buy the shirt. So, that just-in-time access control can be like, well, you don't need access to the bank all the time, but right now you do. You're allowed to do this action. You go back and you do it, and then you continue down the stack. The world I don't want to end up in, and this is why I think getting identity right is critical, is me saying, hey, I'm going to buy a shirt. The model my bank says, cool, you also have an extra $3 that I'm going to skim off to the side that maybe I'll spend on something else later. That's a little bit dystopian, but it is a future we absolutely could be facing if we don't really get these strong controls in place.
I agree. No, absolutely. I think access control, I would say, you're really hitting on, is not an easy problem. In fact, it was not an easy problem in the API world as well to solve. People did solve it through different frameworks, a little bit of customization and everything in their organization, but it's still largely a hard problem to solve. And I can't imagine how in the AI agent entity world this problem is going to be solved. Identity is not easy.
It's not even easy. The existing set of problems that we solved already with identity weren't easy to get to. Like, there's a lot of iterations on what identity was. And now we have to basically start from scratch and do it again with agentic workflows too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll chime in maybe one insight from our experience. In our experience, when we work with customers, we see, at least today, we see prompt injection attacks being pretty prevalent. It's like SQL injection. I think at some point you will kind of stop seeing them. I think that point is arising, but at least for now, we see indirect prompt injection being there, data leakage of unauthorized data exposure. I think this is like a big one, and just like compliance violation, which comes to more like governance and data exposure itself. These three, in our opinion, we see as like surface level kind of issues we just see in every assessment we do. So yeah.
Ankita, you mentioned something I'm so going to use in my next talk, so I'll give you credit, I promise. But if you guys ever watch me do another talk, I'm now going to mention prompt injection is absolutely like SQL injection. I totally see the parallels, and I 100% agree. I mentioned earlier how I do see it starting to become less and less important in the term of AI red teaming, and so I love that analogy. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, and you can see in my background also there's prompt injection, but I think that is going to sort of go away pretty
Yep.
soon.
Yep.
Um, okay, so where do enterprises stand today? We asked this question, on the confidence score level. That where do you see how confident you are in terms of your AI risk? And if you see over here, the question that was asked was how many of you have conducted a formal AI assessment or agentic risk assessment in the last 12 months? And you can see 17% have planned, 40% have actually conducted, 43% have not conducted any. So it's kind of 60% of organizations have not conducted a formal AI or agentic risk assessment in the last 12 months. 12 months is a long period. So, which is pretty surprising because I thought assessment or red teaming itself doesn't require a lot of, intrusive methods. I mean, it is intrusive, but it doesn't require you to deploy anything, or you can just, take the URL and restart manual pen testing, red teaming. But it's surprising to see there was no formal assessment conducted for 60% of the organization.
I actually think I have some insight on maybe why. And a lot of that is ownership. I think, as I've gone out and I've been trying to find the people that, hey, listen, what I do is AI red teaming. Let me help you to ensure that you're not going to end up, on the front page of the news or, anything like that. Excuse me. So, instinctively, I've worked in security. I'm going to reach out to a CISO and talk to a CISO. And the CISO's like, well, that's not in my budget to do AI red teaming. But whose budget it may actually be in is legal. So I go talk to legal. Hey, it's not my budget. You know it might be trust and safety. Trust and safety sends me over to ML. ML sends me over to CISO again. It's a big loop of hot potato. And I don't think anybody actually knows who's the owner of AI security right now. And so it's going to be interesting to see how the industry kind of susses that out. I think by default, a lot of the onus ends up falling on CISOs. And maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't, but I do think it's a shared effort right here where, finding who is the owner, who needs to be held accountable when your model is susceptible to a prompt injection that does something incredibly horrible and makes your business look bad or loses business or violates any kind of governance that you have set aside.
Yeah, got it. You're absolutely right on the ownership, right? David, even we see that in our conversations. AI security itself, nobody knows if, everyone wants to own it, but nobody knows if, they have the budget or they will own it in long term. Because sometimes it's the dev team, sometimes it's the CIO team, sometimes it's the CISO team. It's really everywhere. You're very right on that. More and more, I'm seeing at least enterprises, large enterprises, having some kind of structure over there in terms of having an AI red teaming specifically for this purpose, or product security teams are actually owning AI red teaming because it's actually pen testing or dynamic testing.
I have to actually argue my counter argument to those people that are like, hey, I have 5 cybersecurity experts that have 20 years of experience. They're in cyber red teaming. And they're like, yeah, so they're red teaming my service. I just talked to a potential customer about that recently. And they're like, yeah, so I have this, I just hired 2 new cybersecurity experts for red teaming to do AI red teaming. My answer is, you have such a small sample size of people that think very, very one dimensional in the sense of security. Cybersecurity is only part of AI security. In my experience, I mentioned this earlier, but writers are the best AI red teamers. And so, having that ownership on somebody with tons of cybersecurity experts, you're right, they'll do amazing cyber pen testing. There's a very small fraction of people, I think, that are gonna have enough diverse backgrounds and opinions to really fully attack, the AI surface area.
Got it. No, very much true, David. I think when we started also building our product, we realized it requires a different kind of skill set completely. In terms of tech, it's nothing like what we've built in the API world also. So right on. Just in interest of time, I'll maybe move on the next few insights also. Just to see if there's any chat.
So you mentioned MCP migrating over to the Linux Foundation. I am actually curious what your thoughts are on that.
Curious to hear your thoughts on Anthropic donating MCP to Linux Foundation. With it now being vendor neutral in true sense, would it make easier to implement and manage in the years to come? MCP getting donated to Linux Foundation, actually that's a very good move. From being owned by a company to actually now being vendor neutral is pretty good. Linux Foundation has been doing this incredible work for years now, and I think this is a very, very good step. For will it make things easier to implement and manage in the easy years to come? I don't know if it is going to be easier to implement or something. I mean, easier to implement sure should happen anyway, because adoption is increasing for MCP. Anytime there's an high adoption of any kind of tech, the implementation only becomes easier and easier. I think what's going to happen is with Linux Foundation adopting it, it's going to just like, it's already viral, but it's the adoption is only going to increase, because from just having it in the Anthropic ecosystem to now everyone sort of adopting, because Linux is neutral, devs are using Linux Foundation's products all the time. So it's just the adoption is going to kind of increase, is my opinion. Implementation will become easier if the tech is getting adopted, and MCP might also see a different world in 2026. I've written about it, that things are changing so fast in agentic world. You might see a different kind of agents. You might see MCP being a little bit different, a little bit more security, make more secure, all those kind of things. So I think wait and watch, but it's just a very, very good step in terms of Linux Foundation adopting it.
I think it was really smart of Anthropic. I think it's going to help their adoption as a model vendor to make this more available and less vendor lock-in, even though there is quite a bit of vendor lock-in simply because they invented MCP. So
yeah,
I think it was a very, very smart move, and I do think I'm gonna mirror what you said. I think it'll expand.
Yeah. Awesome. So now we are looking at the last piece of sort of insight, which is agentic security gap. Is more technical. Is actually, sorry, not purely technical. There is a little bit of ownership gap. There's a little bit of maturity gap. All of that. So let's look at this data. We asked respondents all of these questions around why you're not able to sort of adopt agentic security, and these were their answers. Actually, the first answer is tools are too early and immature, so they don't find solutions in the market today which are mature to kind of adopt, and which makes total sense because tools are also very new. Every tool you see out there who's doing agentic AI security, they just started this year or maybe last year, and they're also trying to sort of be mature in the market. So definitely that's the number one. The second is lack of internal expertise. David, you also mentioned, there are cybersecurity teams who have been doing cybersecurity for the longest time, but they might not have expertise in the AI security area. Integration challenges. Existing SIEM, IAM, DLP don't map to agent behavior, which is correct. Now, if you're a big organization who's very reliant on one kind of IAM, SIEM, one kind of, like a network firewall or those kind of tools, you do want integrations with those products, and those products don't really map today agent behavior. Governance gaps and budget and prioritization, those are pretty straightforward. We talked about governance gaps. Budget and prioritization is actually the lowest, which is super interesting, which means people have the budgets, but they don't have all of these. Maybe 56% is actually over here. Tools are immature and lack of internal expertise. Do you see this, David, in your conversation also? I think you talked about internal expertise for sure.
Yeah, so I think the tools are too early. I'm curious about that. I think maybe because of the nature of where I work, I see the tools are maturing so quickly that it's hard for me to say that tools are so early. So I would probably challenge that. I think, in my opinion, what I'm seeing is that tools are moving so fast we can't keep up. Things are changing so quickly that it's very difficult to keep up. Lack of internal expertise. I do think that this is true. I see a lot of teams that, a CISO or an executive or a CTO are saying, we need to have AI security covered. Let's throw our cybersecurity team on it. And cybersecurity people are magicians. Don't get me wrong. I work in cybersecurity. I fully agree that cyber will be able to cover this topic. It just, AI red teaming, like the DEF CON event where we basically, built this concept of AI red teaming as a platform, is only 2.5 years old. Like, it's brand new. So propagating that knowledge out is really important. And so I think it's definitely possible, and teams are getting closer to that expertise, but it's really hard to just have it ingratiated into the 40 years of cybersecurity that we've really been supporting so far. Integration, you nailed it, you covered that. Governance, the same. It's interesting on the budget and prioritization. I think for me, I see this is actually way higher. I think this should probably be higher on the list. I think a lot, like I was talking earlier about this hot potato of it going around, and CISOs and legal and the machine learning teams. Nobody has the budget to say, sure, I'll give you the budget to be able to keep our defenses safe. They want it though, and so I think that's going to have to come down from the board or from the executive of companies to really prioritize what this means. And unfortunately, what I'm worried about is that requirement or the push to get us there is going to come from some pretty major incidents, which is a big bummer. I have a talk called what is it? I forget how it starts, but basically your next O day isn't going to be, your next incident's not going to be an O day. Your next incident's going to be an AI outage that you didn't expect. And so I think, unfortunately, that's probably what's going to have to happen for that budget and prioritization to increase.
Got it. Oh, interesting. So you're according to you, budget and prioritization should be a little bit higher up.
That's what I've seen, at least. Yeah. I think a lot of people think, oh, I really want this. So maybe not even the prioritization. I think prioritization is high, but just not high enough to garnish a budget to be able to support it.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I do have conversations where budgets have been, actually prioritization, you're right, it's not a challenge. Budgets have been a bit of a challenge for most, not most, but some teams.
Yeah.
But I think that comes from also, I feel like tools are too early or immature. That comes from there also, that they can have a budget for something that they are very sure is going to provide value.
Yeah.
Which I think, and I'll tell you why they think there's immaturity here. Probably less in AI red teaming, David, because AI red teaming has been popular for last 2-3 years.
Sure.
Right, and there has been a lot of maturity in that area, in that space. Though I would call out that it's more on the model side, less on the MCP and agent side. So that's where the maturity sort of lags, and that on the AI red teaming side. But let's say talk about visibility, governance, guardrails, all of that. Now this is where the maturity will come, when tools or platforms are able to integrate very well with enterprises environment. This is where I feel like you have to build like 100+ integrations, and there is like tools like Claude and Cursor and N8 and AWS Bedrock and Databricks and whatnot, right? Like, which are every day there's a new agent app tool. So that's where sort of vendors are kind of having, they're very fast, don't get me wrong, but it's just the development in AI is happening so fast that now they have to support an MCP protocol, now they have to support XYZ, and the new agent, then this framework and that framework and whatnot. So that's where I think where the gap I feel security teams might see.
Yeah, I think you may have influenced my opinion a little bit, because I actually totally agree now. I think I see that where you started mentioning all the tools that are coming out now, and was the one that actually where it clicked. You're right. I think tools are happening so quickly because it's super easy to. I built a Pastebin clone for work, and I built it off a one-shot Claude code prompt. Like, that's insane, and it's running right now, and it's running beautifully. And so maybe you're right. Maybe the immaturity side of these tooling is actually a high priority. I see that.
Yeah, it's more on the integration side, I think.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and we don't have a ton of time left, but let's talk about maybe a little bit about Acto. I do want to wrap it up in a couple of minutes, but I'll skip this slide. How Acto helps, guys, in this whole scenario, right? We are an agentic AI security company. What do? We talked about visibility. We talked about shadow AI. We talked about discovery being a big gap. We talked about assessments not being done. We talked about governance and guardrails. So good news, Acto is actually the platform which can help you with all of this. Seems too good to be true, but it's actually the case. We've built an API security platform, and this year we built our agentic AI security platform. So we have that expertise, we have that technical know-how, and what we sort of build this year, and a lot of teams are using it, is a shadow AI, agentic AI discovery. Meaning, if your teams are using AI in their local environment, or shadow AI, or MCP servers in Claude, Cursor, or GenAI apps, Acto will be able to discover those through browser extension, through endpoint shield. There are multiple ways to sort of discover those. Second is guardrails and runtime protection. So if you have your own GenAI app, you have your own agents, bots, chatbots, MCP servers in production, Acto will be able to act like a proxy gateway to enforce guardrails in runtime, and detect any kind of attacks that we were talking about. And the third one is agentic AI red teaming, which is, we have like 1,000+ probes which are specially crafted for MCPs, agents, LLMs, and it's like an attack simulation, automated, that we do on your GenAI apps, agentic assets, in a continuous automated way. So a lot of companies ask us, do you do it manually or automated? And our answer is, it's automated. Sure, we have people who support you in triaging and like helping you with building custom probes, but it's automated in your CI/CD. So if you want to do an assessment every time you're releasing an agentic app, use Acto for that. At the shadow AI level also, which is your devices and browsers, we have a proxy that sits on endpoint, as David mentioned, right? Cloud proxy, Cursor proxy. So we can proxy all your endpoint traffic and sort of become like that control plane for agent, MCP, GenAI apps, which you can enforce guardrails on. So this was sort of a short pitch on Acto, but hopefully people are able to understand what Acto does. And we have some question, I guess.
No, but amazing. And I love, you mentioned about the continuous test integration. That's something I harp on in the education that I've done with a lot of the talks that I've been giving, is unlike traditional cybersecurity pen testing, AI red teaming can't be a point in time. Like anything changes in the model, the system prompt, the fine tuning, the underlying model gets upgraded from your frontier model vendor. That's going to require this continuous AI red teaming. And I love that it's really looking down. It's literally starting to become where AI red teaming is going to be the CI/CD of AI, I think, in my opinion. And it's really exciting.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, David. I think we can talk a lot, and you and I have such interesting things to share. But I guess we'll have one more webinar, or maybe summit or something in the year to come, 2026, and we'll talk a lot more about red teaming actually there. So but thanks everyone for being an amazing audience, engaging audience. Just housekeeping items, you will have the whole recording on the website. You have report, which I've sent the link to everyone, so download it. There's a lot more insights than what I showed you today. Acto does a lot of these kind of events, conferences, webinars, etc. So do attend those, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have on agentic security. And thank you so much, David, for being here, the lovely guest.
Ankita, it was amazing. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was a lot of fun.
Same here. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
Thanks.